Hey, what's up guys, it's Dom from Hole Printing Inc. In today's highly requested video, I'll be showing you guys how to change your waste ink pump on your DTF printer. So first of all, before we even get started, let's see the items that you'll be needing. Obviously, you'll be needing your waste ink pump. You'll also need some zip ties, a magnetic screwdriver, but generally a screwdriver, ideally magnetic. Last but not least guys, you'll need a little pair of scissors or some cutters. So around 4 items needed to do this replacement. Two other thing guys that I suggest you guys have is lots of space to actually be able to, do the replacement. So as you can see, we set up our printer on the side of the table, giving us some nice space in the front on both sides. Ideally, if you can do this with 2 people, it's going to make the whole process a whole lot simpler. Some parts, are a bit trickier to do alone. However, the full installation can be done solo. First thing I want you guys to do is grab all of your equipment and head over to your working station. I'm going to put everything here on the top of this DTF printer. Now the first step guys is I want you to unplug the printer. Okay, so we're going to go in the back over here. This is the most important step guys. We're going to remove this cable right here. This is the only cable we need to remove for now. So this is the first step. Put this to the side. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to remove all of the screws in the corners here. So take the time to remove all of the screws, and then we're going to remove the top like so. You can put this to the side for now. I'm going to put it here. So now guys, once the top has been successfully removed, some of you guys will have a black plate going here. For me, I don't have the black plate, but you need to unscrew this black plate. Once the black plate has been successfully unscrewed, we'll move on to the next step. You guys will see that you have 4 screws on this printer to actually be able to remove this thing. So you have 1 screw over here. So we got 1 screw here guys. We've got the other screw right here. And then we got 2 more on the other side. On the other side, it's a bit hard to tell on the camera guys, but if you kind of go to this location here, you can see we've got another screw right here at the bottom. And finally guys, the last screw is right here. I'm taking away the waste ink pump, but as you can see, it's right here, the final screw. So now that you know your 4 screw placements, let's take the time to remove all of the screws and we'll put them to the side. So, starting off here guys, we're going to unscrew this part. As you can see guys, it's important to have a magnetic screwdriver. It's going to make the job a whole lot easier for you guys and a whole lot less painful. Magnetic screwdriver for the win guys. If you don't have a magnetic screwdriver and you're doing this, I lift my hat to you guys because oh boy, I can't imagine the pain you're going through right now. Try to make your life easier guys, get yourself a magnetic screwdriver. Alright guys, so now all 4 screws have been successfully removed. Now the next step, we're going to actually be lifting this thing up. So that's where you can be 2 people. It's going to make the job a whole lot easier. I'll try to do it by myself so you guys can get the full, experience and hopefully do it yourself. But maybe having 2 people is going to be a bit safer in that case. So let's move on to the next step. Alright guys, so depending on the model of your printer, this printer right here, the blue one that we're working on currently, it doesn't have this part 2 uninstalled. But some of you will have to uninstall this motherboard right here, which is very, very simple. Only thing you want to do guys is you want to unscrew these 4 screws right here. And once they're unscrewed, put the screws to the side and let the motherboard just hang in the bottom of the printer. You don't need to take out anything. Just take off these 4 screws if you have this board right here. And once these screws are off, let the board just go in the bottom of the printer. Some of you will have more recent models, which requires a few more steps. I'll have that video linked in the description down below, so if ever you don't have this model or this model, the other videos might be able to help you replacing the waste ink pump. So the next thing you want to do guys is take this, the hoses that connect to your actual tanks right here. You want to take this and remove it as much as possible. So it's something like this. Now what you want to do, guys, is you want to take your rack like this on the sides. Grab a position that's comfortable for you. You want to push this rack back and then lift up. Something like this, guys. By pushing it back. And then you simply want to put it like this. Not too bad, guys. So by pushing the rack back and lifting it, everything should come into place. So as you can see right here, we've got a lot of, stuff to clean up. So what we're gonna do next, we're just gonna be cleaning this stuff up. Make sure everything is clean. Remove any debris and stuff that might be in the bottom of your printer. Take the time to clean it while you're there. And after that, we're gonna continue the video by, doing the actual replacement. But take the time to clean it, guys. You're already in the process. So we're gonna clean this really quick. We're gonna report back to you guys once it's done. Alright guys, so everything has been cleaned inside. It's not perfect, but as you can see, it's way better than what it was. So now the next step, guys, is we're gonna grab our screwdriver once again, and we're gonna remove this screw right here. Put this screw to the side, and we're gonna remove this one right here. So now that this part is off, you can go ahead and remove it like this. Go ahead and put this part with the screw so you remember that they go together. Perfect. Now let's move on to the next step. So now that you've done that, guys, we're going to remove this screw right here. That's inside of the waste ink pump. So we're going to remove this. Alright, so guys, we had some trials and tribulations with this screw. It's stripped. But fortunately for us, we were able to remove it. So don't go back in there now. So what we're going to do, we're going to throw out this screw and we're going to do a replacement. I have a bunch of extra screws. If ever you don't have extras, maybe consider trying to buy some screws like this. But we're going to put this to the side, but I'll remember that I have to change it. So, alright guys, so we're going to put this screw to the side in the back. So now let's continue on. So the next screw that we're going to be removing is this one right here, boys and girls. Go over here. I'm going to remove this screw. As you can see, guys, what we just removed, it would connect here, and the little plate in the bottom would connect here with the other screw connected to it. So everything's connected together. So now the next step is where your cutters or your scissors will come in handy. What we're going to be doing, guys, is very simple and straightforward. We're going to be taking this part right here. And we're going to be removing this from this. So we need to cut this up right here, guys. As you can see, easy. Remove this. Put that to the side. And now, what you want to do is grab a Scott towel or something like that, because this is going to be quite messy. And you simply want to remove this from this part. So I want to pull like this and remove like this. And for us, we got lucky. Nothing really spilled. But like this for now. Alright guys, so one of the hardest part of this replacement is going to be to actually remove this screw inside here. So somehow you need to try and remove it. So what I'll try to do is go like this. When unfortunately I get stopped by here. So So this screw is going to be a bit tricky. Ideally have a long screwdriver, and this process is going to be a whole lot easier because you could just do something like this where you can turn and stuff. But for us, unfortunately, we don't have a long screwdriver, so we're going to have to make the most of what we have. You just want to try to line up your screwdriver on the screw itself, and once you're in the screw, guys, press hard. Alright guys, so after lots of trials and tribulations, we finally removed the screw. Just some general tips and tricks. If ever you're unable to do it with the screwdriver, the regular one that we're using, the Phillips screwdriver, you can try and use a flat screwdriver if ever you strip the screw. Take the time and patience, and also obviously the elastic trick that most of you guys know to be able. Just try to pull and turn aggressively. So the next step, guys, pretty simple. You want to go over here and you want to remove this right here. Alright guys, so from what I understand, what you need to do is pull with your fingernails this little part right here. Might be a bit hard to tell on the camera, but this part, you want to pull it towards the exterior, and once you pull this, you can pull on the wire itself, which is pretty tight in this situation. Yeah. So guys, what I did to recap is with my long fingernail, I was able to hold this in place towards the exterior and pull on here. So that was the step. Now let's move on to the next one. We're going to be unscrewing this part right here, the orange wiring. We're just going to remove this. Oh, with the proper screwdriver. Perfect. So guys, the next step, you have a screw that connects to this board right here. It is right here on the waste ink pump itself. We're going to be removing this right. Alright guys, so this screw was beyond stripped. We fucked around with it for around 30 minutes, but we got it. Shout out to Charles' mama. Now we can remove the waste ink pump. You can simply lift this up and slowly drag it towards this side here. And there you go guys, we have successfully removed the waste ink pump. For us this took around an hour and something, because most of the time we were dealing with stripped screws and very tight screws. So do take the time and properly remove it. It might be quite hard for some screws to come out, but as you can see, this waste ink pump was getting very dirty, and if we look inside of these tubes right here, we can see some clogged ink, making the waste ink pump no longer usable. So you can now throw this to the side, and we'll move on to the replacement of the new waste ink pump. So now you want to grab your new waste ink pump, guys. We're going to remove this little plastic here. I'm going to put this like this. And now we're going to insert the waste ink pump back inside. Basically guys, to give you a quick trick, this part right here, where we were unscrewing in the previous part, has to line up here. So this is going to be the first step to actually line it up. It can be quite, a bit hard to fit it inside, so do play around with it until you successfully put it back into its place. There we go.
What?
So guys, there we go. After playing around with it, we got it. Now that this is properly lined up, this is perfect. You want to come inside here and take a look. You want to make sure the waste ink pump is properly aligned. Like this. And now we can move on to the actual installation of the screws and stuff. Make sure there's no gap basically. So by lifting up this and just making sure everything is aligned properly. Now guys, we will install the screw in the back to hold the waste ink pump in place. You do not need to tighten them as it was previously tight. So now that we successfully inserted the screw in the back here, it's not really tight, that's okay. We're gonna take another screw and we're gonna insert it right here, guys. So you can push down and it should fall right into place. So this has been successfully tightened. We're going to also tighten the one in the back now that everything's in place. This should be good, guys. So now everything is properly installed. There's no more wiggle room. And how you know, guys, that everything is properly installed, I'll show you with the flashlight quickly so you guys can know. You want to make sure that this part right here, guys, is properly inserted. There's a little hole that a pin will go into. And same thing here, guys. You want to make sure that you're properly aligned by making sure that the screw in the back here is inserted loosely. You can then insert this screw right here tightly, and once this one is tight, you can screw the one in the back and everything should fall into place perfectly. Make sure that this is inside the appropriate place, and make sure this part right here is properly inserted also. It should snap into place almost. So now we know that the waste ink pump has been successfully replaced. Now we want to reinstall everything and get back to printing. So guys, next step, the most exciting step, if you ask me, we're going to take this tube right here that's coming out, and we're going to take our old tube that goes outside of the printer, and if you come on this side, you will see that we're simply going to be connecting the two. So I'm just going to lift this quickly for now. Put this a bit more like this. So right now I got my friend holding it so I can show you really quickly. I'm going to do this as quick as possible. Just insert this back inside as so. And you want to make sure you insert it at the maximum. This should be perfect. And now the next step is going to be to use a zip tie and lock it into place. Like this is perfect. Now we're going to grab a zip tie and we're just going to zip tie the part. So I'll come over here. Pretty straightforward for the zip tie, guys. Just go ahead. You can start zip tying it here, and then you place it around this part right here. And then you can simply cut off the excess like this. Now the next step, guys, we're going to take this plate right here and we're going to insert it back into its place. So just like this, guys, and then we're going to screw in the two screws. So take two of your screws. The thing that's fun about these printers is that it's pretty much the same screws for every single part. So even if you get the screws mixed up, it's not the end of the world, guys. First, we're going to start by locking it into place like this, screwing this screw. Now guys, you don't tighten the screws like they were previously tightened. As you guys probably saw during this tutorial and step by step, The screws are quite hard to remove. Just make sure they're tight enough so it doesn't move, but no need to go Hulk mode and strip some screws. This is perfect. And then we're gonna go inside right here where we remove the previous screw. There's a perfect hole for us weighting. You simply insert it like this. It's really helpful to have a magnetic screwdriver, guys. It's gonna make your life a whole lot easier. Now the next step, guys, we're going to install this plate in the front. You might need to lift it like this and do something. Yeah, as you can see, guys, we maybe broke something, maybe not. It's part of the game. We must continue on. Luckily for us, we didn't have a printhead inside, so we might be okay. Everything looks good. We should be good, guys. Keyword should. We'll see when we turn it on. I'm not sure what side it goes, but okay. And waste pump looks okay. Okay, so let's continue on like nothing happened, guys. Simple as that. You just want to make sure this is properly in place, and you want to screw these two screws right here. Perfect. And then the other screw. Perfect. So this is properly in place now. We want to make sure that this doesn't fall back again. Everything looks okay, guys. I think we might just have gotten lucky. All right, guys. So the next step, you want to go ahead and connect this wire into this section right here. Very simple. Just click it back in. Done. Now you want to grab your screwdriver. You want to grab one screw. You want to connect this part and then this part of the new waste ink pump like this. So what I'll do is I'll just put the screw through here, and then I'll grab this as so, and then I'm going to put it right here. That's good. So next step, you simply want to put the cables of ink back inside a bit so you have more room. And make sure you use your two hands for this, guys. We're going to place the rack back where it goes. Again, just before we actually place the rack, really important, make sure everything is properly aligned here. For us, everything looks good. Obviously, the rack has dropped in the video, so we'll see if the printer still works after we install it, but it's part of the game. So now you want to simply take your rack and you want to go ahead and place this like this, and you want to kind of drop the rack slowly. Hold it while you drop it. Push it back also while you drop it. And this should be good. I want to make sure it's a bit more this side though. And also make sure that the waste ink pump is not being squished. Just like that, guys, congratulations. You have successfully replaced your waste ink pump. If you follow this video correctly, you will realize that changing your waste ink pump is less stressful and pretty much complicated than you once thought. Take the time. My biggest thing that I've learned, I've changed a few waste ink pumps in my lifetime. The biggest lesson I've learned is that the screws that actually are automatically inside of the printer are quite hard to remove. So having tools, having elastics, having stuff like that that can deal with strip screws is going to be a very powerful thing to have. So be patient, take the time, and follow this video step by step. And if ever you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. If you guys found this video somewhat helpful, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new. This was Dom from Whole Printing Inc. Make a print you'll never forget.